वन्दे गुरुपदद्वन्द्वम् अवाङ्मनसगोचरम् रक्तशुक्लप्रभामिश्रम् अतर्क्यं त्रैपुरम् अहः विशुद्धिज्ञानदेहाय त्रिवेदी दिव्यचक्षुषे श्रेयः प्राप्तिनिमित्ताय नमः सोमार्धधारिणे नमो यामिनीनाथरेखालङ्कृत कुन्तलाम् भवानीं भवसन्तापनिर्वापण सुधानदीम् Now, coming to a very important and a very interesting, you have to remember when we were discussing about the Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī Mudra during the Avahanam, we had mentioned that the Mudra per se is a very, very important concept in the entire Tantra Shastra by itself. And it is very important to understand the logic behind the Mudra. Because when we understand the logic behind the Mudras, we will know why the gesture, let's say, why in Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī, the fingers are all positioned in a particular manner. Okay, this is the Shastra Rahasya that we have to learn from the mouth of Shri Guru himself. Because Mudra is very, very esoteric subject. That is why we are not supposed to show Mudra in presence of others. Others in the sense other non-initiates in public gathering of puja, anything. We see many people, they know out of enthusiasm, they will show all the Daśamudrās there, or they will do all the Guru Padaka Mudras and all those. In public places, you are not supposed to show mudras. When we learn the Paddhati from Shri Guru in a proper Sampradaya, he would have definitely mentioned that mudras are very, very dukhya or very secret. Even if someone asks you, let's say, for example, in your Sampradaya, how do you do, let's say, Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī Mudra? It's not your business to go and show him how to do the Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. There are 2-3 reasons for why we are not supposed to do. That is why the Tantras have one standard methodology for discouraging things like this. It will, as a blanket ban, it will mention, you will get Yogini Shapa. If you show mudras to others, you will get Yogini Shapa. Okay, so that at least out of fear, people don't do it. Let us understand why mudras are kept very secret. For that, let us know, first of all, what do we mean by mudra in our system? Unless we know or understand what mudra is, we may think that it's a mere physical gesture. There are 3 levels or at least 2 levels of understanding mudra. One is the proper hand gestures, the positioning of the fingers and other. So that is how the mudra rachanam. Okay, how do you enact that mudra? Second is, what is the tatparya for that mudra? So the term mudra itself is modanāt, drāvaṇāt, mudra. So there are 2 words in the word mudra, mu and dra. Mu from the dhatu mud, to please, since it causes immense pleasure to Amba. Drāvaṇāt, and it removes not some ordinary obstacles, but it removes the greatest obstacle that is causing us or that is enslaving us, namely the 3 malas. So drāvaṇāt, it when properly done, the mudra removes our misconceptions about our own self. Therefore, this is called as mudra. In the Yogini Tantra, the term mudra is defined as chidatma bhittau. Chit atma bhittau. Vishwasya prakasha amarshane yada karoti swechchaya purva vichikirsha samanvita Kriyā Śaktihi tu vishwasya modanāt drāvaṇāt tatha mudra iti kathita devi. Chidatma bhittau. At the time when the Sṛṣṭi takes place, there will be only one vastu, namely Parāśiva. We have no doubt about it. But when Parāśiva manifests the 5 Śaktis that he has, see, Chit and Ananda is always, he is always in the exuberance of these 2 Śaktis. Icchā, Jñāna and Kriyā will happen only when he decides to allow himself to contract, saṅkoca. This contraction or allowing himself to contract is what we call as Sṛṣṭi. When he wishes to become many, this becoming many is not that he is becoming many. There comes a state wherein the same reality is perceived in different manner or in different ways because of the difference in the point of view. This difference in point of view is the result of Parāśiva deciding to contract himself from his Purna Ahanta Swarupa to an Ahanta Idanta and Idanta. So during the Sṛṣṭi Krama, okay, so at that time, Chidatma Bhittau, there is only one Chit, okay, which we call as Atma. Chit Atma Bhittau, assuming that it is like a wall. Bhitti means wall. Chidatma Bhittau, Vishwasya Prakasha Amarshane Yada. At the time, because of the Shakti, there is a Vimarsha, no, knowing that I am. That is Vimarshanam. So Prakasha Amarshane Yada. So Parāśiva engages in the act of seeing himself or knowing himself. Prakasha Amarshane Yada. Then at that time, Sva Icchaya, in our Shastra, which is based on the Kashmir tradition, there is no Maya Shakti that can cause the Sṛṣṭi. There is no Anirvachaniya Maya that we believe in. The Sṛṣṭi is caused by Svechaya, by the free will of Parāśiva himself. Nothing else can come and cause the Sṛṣṭi. So Svechaya, by his own free will. Purna Vichikirsha Samanvita. There occurred in him a Purna Vichikirsha, a complete manifestation to act. Kartum Icchā Vichikirsha. Okay, a desire to act. So the Kriyā Shakti Pradhanata comes. So Purna Vichikirsha Samanvita. Then this Kriyā Shakti tu Vishwasya. This Kriyā Shakti, obviously Kriyā Shakti cannot operate merely on its own. When the moment we say Kriyā Shakti, Icchā and Jnāna automatically joins. Okay. See, there are certain terminologies which will not make sense if the associate terminologies are not there or not understood. The classic example given is the word son. The word son cannot exist until there is one mother and father, or any of the three words you can assume. The word father cannot exist until there is a mother and a son, or the word mother cannot exist until there is a father and a son. So by saying one, the other two have to be understood. So when we say Kriyā Shakti, the Icchā and Jnāna are automatically understood that they have come into play. Whereas the Chitta and Ananda, they are always in the same state of exuberance in Parāśiva. This Icchā Jnāna Kriya alone will happen when there is this Spanda, this vibration to exhibit himself as Ahanta as well as Idanta. That is why these three are taken out separately. We call these three devatās also by another name, Vāma, Jyeṣṭhā and Raudrī. So Kriyā Shakti, this Vāma, Jyeṣṭhā and Raudrī, this when it starts to manifest itself as the creation that we see. See, we know the creation happens once again at three levels. The creation happening inside, the creation happening because of the saṅkoca, okay, that is in the Sukshma Avastha, the creation happens. Then as a Sthula Avastha, the creation happens. So creation is happening in three levels. So when we divide the tattvas also, we divide the tattvas as Śuddha-aśuddha, śuddha-aśuddha and aśuddha-aśuddha. In the Śuddha-aśuddha, the creation is happening within one. In the śuddha-aśuddha, creation is happening in a process of contraction, okay, with the षट्कंचुkas forming. Then in the aśuddha-aśuddha, the physical creation is happening. All right. So during this creation process, the process of creation, Kriyā Shakti tu Vishwasya. This Kriyā Shakti, that is the Icchā, Jnāna and Kriyā, that is Vāma, Jyeṣṭhā and Raudrī, they manifested as modanāt, drāvaṇāt tathā mudra iti kathita devi. So what we are showing as mudra is the process of creation as it happened during the time of creation, involving Jyeṣṭhā, Vāma and Raudrī. By showing the mudra or by enacting the mudra, we are trying to understand the krama. Once we understand the Sṛṣṭi Krama, the Samhara Krama will become clear to us. If you have left the house, if you know what route you have taken while leaving the house and you are standing in a particular destination, it is very easy for you to retrace your steps back to your house. That is exactly what we are doing through the mudra. So proper use of mudra helps us to show the creative process. That is why the etymology says modanāt, drāvaṇāt. It causes pleasure to Devi. Where is Devi? Devi is not there, here. Devi is what you are. You are not different from Devi. So modanāt means Devi is pleased, means your atmas, for your atma labha it is happening. Modanāt. Why? Because you are trying to retrace your steps. And while doing so, drāvaṇāt, the three malas which is inhibiting our Swarupa Jnana, we understand how they have to be removed. Drāvaṇāt tatvā. Therefore, it is called as mudra. This is the tatparya artha for the mudra. Now, in every mudra, starting from Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī, we are able to see this process of what this mudra stands with respect to the creative process and what we need to understand about the creation and transformation. So, the next thing is, how do we connect it with the mantra of the mudra? So, when we say every mudra has its own bija mantra, Ram. So, that is the next connectivity. So, let us first understand the process of the mudra. So, now before we go any further, just one interesting information now would be knowing. In the Nitya Śodaśī Karṇava, the mudra devatās are not mentioned in the Prathama. Only the siddhi devatās and the ashtamatra devatās are there. Mudra devatās are not mentioned. So Bhāskarārya, when he is commenting on that particular segment, he himself asked the question. He says, look, there are 3 lines. Unless we have 3 sets of the devatās, it doesn't really make sense. What do you do with third line then? The third concentric square that you are having. So this is the Purva-paksha. So there are 2 samadhanas. There are certain tantras wherein there are no 3 concentric squares at all. There is only 1 concentric square. So what will you be doing in that case? You will be doing the avarana archana, that is devata archana, okay, of the siddhi devatās in that same line. After you have completed the siddhi devatās, you will start the brahmyadi ashtamatra, right? In the same way you should do. Then still I am not satisfied. No problem. Most of the avarana devatās, okay, are in the avantara sthana. So there are only 2 sets of devatās, animadi dasha siddhi devatās and brahmyadi ashtamatra devatās. So between the first and the second line, animadi devatās. Between the second and the third line, it will be the brahmyadi ashtamatra. So there is no mudra devatās. The mudra devatās are there for each avarana separate. This is the answer given by Bhāskarārya there. But at the same time, also recognizes that in Kalpasutra, it is different. The position taken by Kalpasutra is different. According to the Kalpasutra, the mudra devatās are part and parcel of the Prathamavarana. That is why Bhagavan has made it very clear. Prathamat chaturasre, madhyamat chaturasre, antya chaturasre. So he has given the position also. Now, coming back to the first mudra, Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. That is the first mudra. Okay. Here on I will refer to the Bhāshya. It's a very interesting description that we find in the Bhāshya. Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī padarthaha ca itthaṃ. The term Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī is defined Sarvan padartha bhutan shobhayati utpadayati iti Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. It is called as Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī because Sarvan padarthan utpadayati. Shobhayati means utpadayati. So this mudra signifies that state of creation wherein the impetus to generate every other object takes place. So that first impetus to create is indicated by the first mudra, Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. So Sarvan padarthan shobhayati utpadayati iti. Okay. Iyameva Vāma Shaktihi tyuchyate. So what is Vāma Shakti? Vāma Shakti is that creative apparatus which is having the strength to accomplish the task. That is Vāma. Okay. Yoni prachuryataha sa esha sarva-saṅkṣobhika punaha Vāma Shakti pradhana yam. Yoni prachuryataha. Yoni means here creation. Yoni prachuryam means there is an excessive importance or and stress on the act of creation. That is the kamakala, as we say, the desire to create. Okay, saha kamayata bahusyam. That aham bahusyam, that is what is being referred to here. So yoni prachuryataha, the desire to create or to generate. Sarva-saṅkṣobhika. So it decides to create everything. So sarvan padarthan kshobhayati utpadeti iti sarva-saṅkṣobha. Since it is this aspect, the Shakti which is dominant in this stage is called as Vāma. Vāma Shakti Pradhana Yam. Yonihi Karanatvani Tesham Prachuryataha Bhuyastvena. So Yonihi means Karanatva, the cause, the causal apparatus. So Tesham Prachuryataha. So the desire or the impetus to cause is in excess, therefore. Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanyaha Bhāhya Swarupe. So when we are doing the mudra in its Bhāhya Swarupa, in its physical form, Anguli Grathanatmake Angushte Kanishtha Anama Madhyama Agranam Yoge Yoni Bhuyastvam Pratyakshena Anubhuyate Etena Adrishya Rupam Api Tatha Iti Unneyam. See, this is how we do the Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. So the tips of thumb, middle, ring and little fingers. Angushte Kanishtha Anama Madhyama Agranam Yoge. When they are joined with the Angushta, thumb. So which means that only the index finger is pointing out. Yoni bhuyastvam pratyakshena anubhuyate. So this joining of these four, this is indicative of the desire to create. Yoni bhuyastvam. Okay. And this is the direction it is going to take for creation. So Vāma Shakti Pradhana. So it is going to create what was within is now coming to come out. So this is Sarva-Saṅkṣobhanī. So all that which was in the Karana Rupa is now ready to come into Karya Rupa. That which was in the causal form or in the potential form is now going to come out as a physical form. But it will go through certain more steps. Those steps will be the next few mudras. Okay, so that first thing to come out, Aham Bahusyam, that is this two things. So Vāma Shakti Pradhana. Dvitiya Sarva-Vidravini. The second is called as Sarva-Vidravini. Sarvan Utpannan Dravayati Vardhayati Poshanena Sa Sarva-Vidravini. Sarva-Vidravini means Sarvan Utpannan. So what has been decided to be created, it has not been created yet. What has been decided that it will be created. Vardhayati, that which ensures that it is being nourished. Vardhayati, Poshayati, iti. Sarvesham Vastunam Palakatvat Rujusvabhava Jyeṣṭhā Shakti Prachuracha. This mudra, Sarvesham Vastunam Palakatva, since it is entrusted with the task of Palanam, of protection or of nourishment. Okay, so Vāma Jyeṣṭhā. Vāma is Icchā. Okay, Jyeṣṭhā is Jñāna. So Jyeṣṭhā Shakti Prachurya. The Jnana Shakti Prachurya is there. That is why the first one was Vāma. Okay, the second is the Jyeṣṭhā. I think for everyone, the middle finger will be longer than the index finger. So Jyeṣṭhā Shakti Pradhana. Here the Jyeṣṭhā is the Pradhana Shakti. Okay. So what was decided will come into existence, will be now nourished. So that is what is this Dvitiya Mudra. So Sarva-Vidravini. Atayeva asyaha mudrayaha bhāhya rupe api angushtena kanishta anama yoge anguli chatushtaye rijutvam drishyate. And because there has to be ruju means straight. So for the things to be nourished, there has to be straightforwardness. So the four fingers are straight. So rijutvam drishyate. Evam adya trikone rekhatraya madhye purvasyam dishi sthitayam ruju rekhayam eva tasyaha adhishthanam shastra prasiddham. Now let us literally translate this line. Evam, due to this reason, that is because of it being ruju svabhava, straight. Adya trikone, in the first trikona, that is the trikona immediately after the bindu. Adya trikone, rekha traya madhye. Obviously, the triangle will have three lines, three vertices. Okay, rekha traya madhye, purvasyam dishi sthitayam, that which is on to the east. So we have already seen, according to the Tantra Digvibhaga, the one that is immediately behind mother is the east. Okay, so generally the innermost triangle will be facing the sadhaka. So what happens? The straight line is behind the bindu, and the adjacent two vertices are facing the sadhaka. So in the ruju rekha, the straight line which is behind the bindu, so purvasyam dishi sthitayam ruju rekhayam yeva, there alone. tasyaha adhishthanam shastra prasiddham. Tasyaha means sarvavidravini mudrayaha. Adhishthanam, position, shastra prasiddham is something that is very famous or something that is which is popular in the Shastra, which means that Sarva-Vidravani Mudra alone, the Sarva-Vidravani Mudra alone cannot be there. The Daśamudrās have to be there in the innermost Trikona. Going to the Nitya Śodaśī Karṇava, where Daśamudrās are not in the outermost, but they are elsewhere. Tritiya Sarva-Akarshani. The third mudra is called as the Sarva-Akarshani Mudra. Sarva Akarshana Shīla. It is so named because it is capable of attracting everything. Sarva Akarshana. Yam Jyeṣṭhā Vāma Ubhaya Atmika. So we have seen in the previous two mudras that the two fingers stands for the Jyeṣṭhā and the Vāma Shakti. So the Jyeṣṭhā and the Vāma Shaktis, when we speak about the Sarva Akarshani Mudra, Ubhaya Atmika, both are Samapradhana Samasattva. In the sense, both are equally important and dominant. Jyeṣṭhā Vāma Samatvena Sṛṣṭehe Pradhanyamāsthita Akarshani iti Mudra iyam. When the Jyeṣṭhā Shakti and the Vāma Shakti Samatvena are of equal bala, in the sense when they have the equal prominence, Sṛṣṭehe Pradhanyamāsthita, it results in the Bāhya Sṛṣṭi, Jyeṣṭhā and the Vāma. For the Bāhya Sṛṣṭi to happen, this particular mudra signifies the Akarshana. Now, Akarshana is the power or the aspect wherein the tattvās interplay in a manner that they are able to create the scope for the jiva to have a place to experience the world. According to the Shaiva Shastra, the entire world is the Leela of Parāśiva, and they explain it using a very simple term they call as Tanu, Karana, Bhuvana, Bhoga. Tanu, Sharira is required. Karana, the instruments for enjoyment. Bhuvana, the various bhuvanas are the places for enjoyment. And Bhoga, the differences in the level of enjoyments depending on the previous three facts. So, to facilitate these Tanu, Karana, Bhuvana, Bhoga is called as Akarshana. In Jyeṣṭhā and Vāma being Samapradhanatva, here it happens. Therefore, this is called as Sarva Akarshani Mudra. That is what the shloka says. Jyeṣṭhā Vāma Samatvena Sṛṣṭehe Pradhanyamāsthita Akarshani iti Mudra iyam. Okay. Then we move on to the fourth mudra. Chaturthi Sarva Vashyakari. Sarvāna Kshityādi Shivantāna Vashyam Svādhīnam Nayati Prāpayati iti. The fourth mudra is called as Sarva Vashankari or Sarva Vashyakari. The reason is Sarvan. Sarvan refers to Kshityādi Shivantan, all the 36 tattvās. Vashyam, Svādhīnam. Svādhīnam means having a complete control over the 36 tattvās. In the sense, the 36 tattvās are nothing but the manifestations of our own self. So having ourself under our own or having a perfect control over ourselves is what is Sarva Vashyakari. So Sarvana Chityādi Shivantana Vashyam Svādhīnam Karoti iti Sarva Vashyakari. Okay. So when we see this Sarva Vashankari Mudra, I hope most of you would know how to do this Sarva Vashyakari Mudra. When we do this Sarva Vashankari Mudra, there is in the Bhashya he says, Loke Akashaha Dvividaha. In the Vaidika as well as in the Pauranika and Tantrika, Akashaha Dvividaha. There are two types of Akasha that is being spoken of. Dahrakashaha Prakritascha. Prakrita means the external space that we see. Dahrakasha. Dahrakasha is the Sukshma Akasha which is there in the Hridaya Bila. Dahrakashaha api susukshmaha anyaha akashaha asti. So we know that there is this Dahrakasha. When we speak about this Dahrakasha also, the Bhashyakara says that there is another Dahrakasha which is subtler than the one that is spoken of in the Shruti. Anyaha susukshmaha asi. And for that, the Shruti Vakya is quoted. He says, Tasyante sushiragum sukshmam. You all know that this is in the Mahanarayana. Tasyante sushiragum sukshmam. Dahrakashasya ante. Even within the Dahrakasha, sushiragum sukshmam. There is another which is a sukshma akasha. Tan madhye gadham ashlishta parashivena ya ananda vigraha murtihi sa sarva vashyakari padavachya. So the Sarva-Vasankari Mudra denotes that Ananda Swarupa, Anandakari Murtihi, which resides within this Sukshma Dakhrakasha. Tanmadhye Gadham Ashlishta Parashivena Ya Ananda Vigraha Sa Sarva-Vashyakari Padavachya. Taduktam Uttara Chatushatyam. Uttara Chatush is Yogini Tantra. Vyomadvaya Antaralastha Bindu Rupa Maheshwari Shiva Shakti Atma Samsleshat Esha Vashyakari Smrta. It is called as Vashyakari because Vyomadvaya Antaralastha Bindu Rupa. She is of the nature or she is of the form of that Vyomadvaya Antaralastha, of that which resides within the two Vyoma, within the two Akasha. Okay, the Dakhrakasha and the Sukshma Dakhrakasha. So within the Sukshma Dakhrakasha, she resides Shiva Shakti Atma Samshlesha, and she is of the form of the Prakasha and the Vimarsha. Shiva Shakti Atma Samshlesha. Therefore, she is called as Vashyakari. Obviously, when we say Shivadi Kshityantana Vasham Nayati, it has to be only at the level of Parāśiva only. Because at the lower level, we cannot have the control over the higher level tattva. Only the highest tattva predominates or permeates through the all tattvas right up till the Prithvi tattva. So when we say Sarva Vashyakari, it refers to the Shiva Shakti in their Ashlishta. Ashlishta means when the Prakasha and Vimarsha are in the Samarasya bhava. So Shiva Shakti Atma Samshleshat Esha Vashyakari Smrta. Okay. So we know how the mudra is done. So try to relate how the fingers are there in the Sarva Vashyakari Mudra and this explanation. Shiva Shakti Atma Samshlesha and that is Gudham Ashlishta. Very tightly they are interwoven with each other. So we know in that mudra all the fingers are tightly interwoven into each other. Bindu Rupa iti kathanat swarupam api tatha. And she is in the form of Bindu. So overall swarupa of this mudra also looks like a spear. So Bindu Rupa, she is of the nature of this Bindu. So when we act out this mudra, we have to remember that this is her Paraswarupa. Then Panchami, the fifth mudra. Ukta Shiva Shakti Bindoho Madhye Tukshma Rekha. This fifth mudra is like the Sarvanmadani, okay, is like the Rekha, okay, or the line or that ray that emerges from this Shiva and Shakti Samarasya. Shiva Shakti Bindoho Madhye Sukshma Rekha. And for that, Bhāskarārya uses the Shruti again. Nivara Shukavat Tanvi. Nivara Shukavat Tanvi. Nivara is a kind of rice. It's a dhanya visesha. It's a variety of rice. Shukavat Tanvi, like the streak of the Nivara. Tasya Madhye Vanhi Shikha. Shikha is that flame. Tasya Madhye Vanhi Shikha, like that flame emerging out. So we have to imagine one streak coming out of the Bindu. Iti Shruti Prasiddha. Tasya Shikhayaha Dvisvabhavatvam. That Shikha has two natures or two forms. What is it? Jyeṣṭhā Svabhavatvam cha, Vāma Svabhavatvam, Raudrī Svabhavatvam cha. So she is of the nature of Jyeṣṭhā as well as Vāma and Raudrī together. Yatha loke ekasya eva dandasya ghata utpatti shaktimatvam tan nashaka shaktimatvam cha asti tathapi sa dandaha kadachit utpadaka shakti pradhanaha bhutva ghatam utpadayati kadachit nasha shakti pradhanaha tam nashayati evam ke bahusthale drishtam tatha dandasthaniya utarekha. With the Raudrī also getting added into this, it means that this aspect that we are speaking about has both the Sṛṣṭi Kshamatvam and Samhara Kshamatvam. It has the capability of both causing the Sṛṣṭi as well as the Samhara. How can the same thing cause both Sṛṣṭi and Samhara? For that, the Bhāskarārya gives one example. He says, like the danda, the staff which the potter uses. The staff, if he uses to roll the wheel, okay, and then he makes the pot out of it. So the same staff was used to create the pot. Now, the same staff can also be used by him after the pot is created and baked and all those things. Even he hits pot with that staff, it can destroy the same pot. So, Utpadaka Shaktimatvam, Nasha Shaktimatvam. It has both the capacity to create as well as the capacity to destroy. Similarly, Tatha, okay, I am Dandasthaniya Uttareka. So, to denote that Dandasthana, okay, as having both the Utpatti Shaktimatvam and Nasha Shaktimatvam, tattvam. In this mudra, when we see the fingers, we can see that they are aligned in a manner to denote a shikha coming out of the bindu. सा यदा जगत् रक्षण कर्तृत्व विशिष्ट ज्येष्ठा शक्ति प्रधाना तदा सर्वोन्मादिनी पदवाच्या. When she is the nature of creating the world, she is called as Sarvonmadini. Uttara Chatushatyam Tadukam. The shloka from the Uttara Chatushati is Binvantarala Vilasat Sukshma Rupa Shikhamayi Jyeṣṭhā Shakti Pradhanatu Sarvonmadana Karini. अतएव तद अंगुली ग्रथन वेलायाम अंगुष्ट अनामा तर्जन्यः सरलाः दृश्यन्ते. So while doing this, the angushta, that is the thumbs, anama and the tarjani are all straight. Bindudvayakaram madhyamadvayam cha bhavati. The madhyama, when it is bent, it creates that form of bindu. तत्रापि निरुक्त शिखास्थान आपन्न ग्रथन वेलायाम अनामाद्वयमेव ज्ञेयम्. मध्यमाद्वयस्य तदानीं बिन्दुद्वय रूपत्वेन तन् मध्यवर्ति अनामाद्वयस्य तस्य मध्ये वह्निशिखा इति प्रसिद्ध शिखात्वं युक्तम्. Okay, so this is basically how that particular mudra is created, or it is how it is gesticulated, is what is stated. So here it is the utpatti shaktimatva pradhana, jyeshtha shakti pradhana. Okay, therefore this particular mudra has the fingers wherein the madhyama stands for the bindu dvaya, shiva shakti samarasya bindu dvaya. Okay, Kasha bindu and Vimarsha bindu, and the others are riju, they are all straight. Okay, signifying the Jyeṣṭhā and the other two shakti. Then coming to the sixth, idameva purvoktam shikhadvayam yada Vāma pradhanam tada sarva mahankusha. When Vāma is the pradhana, Jyeṣṭhā pradhana and Vāma pradhana. When the Vāma is pradhana, then it is called as sarva mahankusha. That is, Sṛṣṭi pradhanatvam is Jyeṣṭhā, Vāma pradhanatvam or the samhara pradhanatvam is Vāma. So it is Maha Ankusha. Sukshma Rupena Paraśiva Kukshau Sthitam Jagat. Yada Antastaha Gajaha Ankushena Bahihi Akrishyate Tada Sarvasya Bahihi Akarshanaat Sarva Mahankusha Ityuchyate. And the explanation for the name is just like the hook, okay, or the goad is used by the Maho to control even the huge elephant. Similarly, the entire Sṛṣṭi Krama is being controlled by this particular mudra. Therefore, it is called as Sarva Maha Ankusha. Vāma Shakti Pradhanatu Maha Ankushamayi Punaha Tad Vishwam Vamanti Sādhiyetu Dasharake. So the entire world is, or the entire Sṛṣṭi or the Jagat is created by the interplay of Vāma and the Jyeṣṭhā Shakti. Now come to the Saptami Sarvakhechari. The seventh is the Sarvakhechari Mudra. Jivanam Swakarma Janita Rogadi Dukkha Nashana Kshama Shakti. Sarvakhechari is Jivanam Swakarma Janita. Because of their own karma, the roga, adi, dukkha, the sufferings that the jiva undergoes, okay, like physical suffering or the other forms of suffering. Roga, adi, janit, dukkha, nashana, kshama. It is capable of destroying these sufferings of the jiva. Another logic is also given by the Bhāskarārya. He says, Atayeva sarvaroga hara chakrastha bhavati. Therefore, Khechari Mudra is shown in the sarvaroga hara chakra. Now, when we have come to the Khechari, we will take some time to understand the Khechari. Okay. First is in the Yogini Tantra. Yogini Tantra says, Dharma dharmasya sanghattat uttita vitti rupini vikalpotha kriyalopa rupa dosha vighatini vikalpa ropa roganam harini khechari mata. Dharma dharmasya sanghattat uttita. That which is generated or that which emerges or comes out of dharma and adharma sanghatta. A combination of dharma and adharma. Dharma dharmasya sanghattat uttita vitti rupini. It is of the nature of vit. Vit means samvit or jnana. So jnana rupini. So Khechari is called as Jnāna Rupini. Okay. The next two lines we will see. Then we will try to come back and understand the first line again. Vikalpotha Kriyā Lopa Rupa Dosha Vighatini. The Kriya Lopa Rupa Dosha. The doshas, the imperfections or impurities which the jiva suffers as a result of the vikalpa. What is vikalpa? Vikalpa is the projection on the essential truth. In the sense, what is not there, when it is seen to be present, it is called as vikalpa. So they are mental projections. In the Shankara system, okay, what we see as a sarpa over the rajju, the snake over the rope, that is a vikalpa. Okay, what is actually not there, when it is seen in that particular manner, that is vikalpa. Now this vikalpa is subject matter of a detailed study in the Buddha philosophy. Basically, for our understanding right now, Vikalpa is the mental projections over the essential truth. So, all the sufferings are nothing but mental projection, because at the end of the day, our true nature is not what we assume or what we think it to be. So, the sufferings that we are undergoing is because of this misapprehension about our own essential nature. So, Vikalpa, therefore, karma lopa, whatever actions are not to be done, or whatever actions needs to be done, when they are not performed in that manner, whatever comes out of it causes pain. Say for example, both karma lopa is doing what you are not supposed to do, avihita acharanam, and vihita anacharanam, not doing what you are supposed to do. Both are karma lopa. So because of these, the doshas that come, that causes suffering. Vikalpa Rupa Roganam Harini. So rather than treat the doshas, we go on and treat the cause for the dosha. The cause for the dosha is the Vikalpa. So once the Vikalpas are removed, then their products, namely the sufferings, are automatically being taken care of. So Vikalpa Rupa Roganam. So while removing the roga, it is not the roga per se which is being removed. The cause for the roga, namely the projections that we have over our own true self, is taken care of. Now let us come to the first line. Dharma dharmasya sanghattat utthita vittirupi. How can Jnana or Samvit emerge from a combination of dharma and adharma? So in the Shastras, we have to be very clear in understanding certain terms. Generally, when we use the term dharma, our mind is so fixated when we say dharma. And when we say adharma, there also our mind is very, very fixated. When we say adharma, the first thing that comes to our mind is, doing or the actions which are not prescribed by the Shastras is adharma. That is the first impression that our mind catches on to when it hears the word adharma. And the dharma is whatever the benefits or the merits that comes out of the noble actions which are enjoined by the scriptures. But in this particular shloka of Yogini Tantra, dharma and adharma are not used in this sense. They are used in a much primary sense. When we speak about the Shatrimshat Tattvas, Shiva and Shakti are always seen as one entity. Though for the sake of enumeration, we may call it as Shiva and Shakti as two different, but they are seen as one entity. And Vimarsha, though being part and parcel of the Prakasha, for the sake of understanding, we understand Vimarsha to be the power of reflection possessed by the Prakasha. So the power of reflection being possessed by Prakasha, when we say that, being possessed, so anything that is possessed becomes a dharma. For example, the dharma of water is to flow, Syandanatvam. So the Syandanatvam is the dharma of Jala. Jala is dharmi, one who possesses the quality to flow. Dahakatvam is the dharma of Agni, and Agni is the dharmi who possesses the dharma named Dahakat. In the same manner, Prakasha and Vimarsha. Vimarsha is the dharma which is possessed by the dharmi, namely the Prakasha. So in this shloka, when we say dharma, adharma, dharma means Shakti, adharma means Shiva in his pure Prakasha Swarupa. So dharma, Shiva Shakti, and adharma is Shiva. So dharma dharmasya sanghattat means by the Shiva and Shakti, by the Prakasha and the Vimarsha. So dharma dharmasya sanghattat, by the combination or by the play of Shiva and Shakti, utthita vitti rupini. The core aspect of the Paramadvaita philosophy is without Shakti, one cannot know or one cannot attain the Shiva. When we speak about the term Shiva and Shakti, we have to understand in a very impersonal manner. So it is only through the Shakti, only through the Vimarshana, we can understand our Swarupa. So Shakti is very, very important. That is why even the grace of Shri Guru is called a Shakti Pata. So dharma dharmasya sangattat means when the dharma and the adharma, that is when the Shiva and Shakti samarasya is understood, what happens? With the pure knowledge, the knowledge about our own essential self, that everything is Chaitanya. When we understand that Chaitanya Mahatma, everything is nothing but pure consciousness, including myself, then that removes all the vikalpas that I have been experiencing. The vikalpas, see, according to our Shastra, the moksha is to understand that it is the same Parāśiva who manifests himself even in the other contracted forms. For us, the moksha is not attaining some loka, not going and living in some loka. Okay, the moksha is the understanding of or recognition of our own true nature right here, not anywhere else. So when that recognition, that is why the Shastra itself is called as Pratyabhijñā Shastra. When that Pratyabhijñānam takes place and that recognitions take place, all the vikalpas, okay, are seen not belonging to the essential nature of Parāśiva. Okay, so even though they are there, it is not his Swarup or is not his essential Swarup. It is brought forth by him out of his own Svecha, by his own free will. So when that understanding is what is called or what is referred to here as Vittipini, it means Samvit. When that Samvit becomes steady, or when that pratyabhijnanam of that samvit happens, automatically all the vikalpas go away. When the vikalpas go away, all the suffering caused by the vikalpas are automatically taken. This is the khechari. So that is why this mudra is a very, very special mudra. That is why this mudra and the bija for this mudra is there in the Guru Padaka mantra also. Khechari bija is a part of the Guru Padaka. Now, this khechari mudra, like I said, unlike the other mudras which has two aspects, this khechari has three aspects. One is that physical Anguli-Gartana. Okay, now when we see how we do the khechari, okay, we will understand the interplay of the Shiva and the Shakti and the Jnana that emerges out of this Shiva-Shakti Samarasya, which leads to the destruction of all the vikalpas. That is how the entire hands are intertwined and is that of supreme knowledge or supreme consciousness. This supreme knowledge or supreme consciousness is called as He Charati. He Akasham. Akasham means Bodhakasha, Jnana Rupa Akashe. Sancharati iti khechari. So the sadhaka who has perfected the khechari mudra is always in the state of true knowledge of his own essentials. He bodhakashe sancharati or charati iti khechari. So this is the Adhyatma interpretation of the khechari. Okay. And I will just read out from the Nitya Śodaśī Karṇava a few shlokas on the khechari mudra. Rachita iyam Mahadevi Sarvateja Upaharini Buddhayeva Etaya Devi Drishyate Sadhakottamaha. When one perfects the khechari mudra, Buddhyate Sadhakottamaha Buddhyate. The sadhaka becomes enlightened. Buddhyate Sadhakottamaha. When he becomes enlightened, what happens? Yogini Sarvavrindaistu Jvalat Pavaka Sannibhaha. He becomes like a Jvalat Pavaka, like a fire, fire of knowledge. Okay. Jvalat Pavaka Sannibhaha. Yogini Sarvavrindaistu Kakini, Rakini, Vrindaihi, Lakini, Kakini, Ganaihi, Sakini, Hakini, Dhisu, Dhyata. This mudra, which is Dhyata, which is always contemplated by the Shat Yoginis, Taralakasaha, okay, the Shat Chakra Yoginis. He becomes the master of these yoginis. In the sense, he masters, because of his having realized his true nature, he masters all these. Etaya Jñātaya Devi, Yogininam Bhavet Priyaha. All these yoginis become dear to him. In the sense, they aid in his spiritual progress. Yataha Samaya Mudra Iyam. Khechari is called as Samaya Mudra. What is Samaya Mudra? Samaya means the path of the particular Vasana. So this Khechari Mudra is the sum total of the entire path. Why we have taken up this Diksha? Why we are into this Upasana Paddhati? Okay. So this entire stream of Upasana Paddhati is called as the Samaya. So this Khechari Mudra is the sum total or the representation of the entire Samaya or the entire purpose or purport of this entire Shastra. So Samaya Mudra Iyam. So the Vikalpas that we just saw. Okay. Vikalpa Rupa Rogana, Vikalpa Rupa Roganam Harini. The Vikalpas are that 6 kinds of Vikalpas. In the Sharada Tilaka, okay, the Raghava Bhatta in his Bhashya, he speaks about Shadurmi, sign, okay, of the artis or the dukkhas that as a sadhaka experiences. Bubuksha, Pipasa, Moha, Jaram, Bubuksha, hunger, Pipasa, thirst, Moha, sorrow, as well as confusion or delusion. Moha, Jara and Mrityu, old age and death. So when we see this, Bubuksha and Pipasa belongs to the prana, okay. The Shoka and Moha belongs to the buddhi. Jara and Mrityu belongs belongs to the deha or sharira. All these are taken care of. Okay, all these rogas are taken care of by the perfection of this khechari. There is a third aspect concerning this khechari, that is called as yogatma khechari. This yogatma khechari is spoken about in the Yoga Shastra. When I say Yoga Shastra, I don't refer to Patanjali Yoga. I speak only to the Tantra Yoga. In the Tantra Yoga system, there is a description of the khechari bija. This khechari is a special kind of practice, okay, wherein the sadhaka, okay, sits with chin pressing on his Vishuddhi mandala, okay, and rolling the tongue and extending the tongue all the way up to the nostril to the level that it touches, okay, the brow, wherein he can taste the nectar. So this is also called as Lambika Yoga. Khechari Yoga is also called as a Lambika Yoga. So there is one Yogatma Khechari also. So there is a yogic representation for the khechari. There too, one would get the same result. Okay, so this khechari has three aspects. The yogic aspect, one is the adhyatmic or the spiritual. If we want the more details about khechari, then we have to go to Acharya Abhinav Gupta's Paratrishika Vivarana. In Paratrishika Vivarana, he speaks a lot about the khechari sadhana. In that khechari, he would be speaking about the adhyatma khechari. So khecharatam, he says he will become a khechara. Okay, he will always be in the bliss of or in the abode of knowledge. Okay, and the physical one that we practice as a part of our avarana. So the very fact that it is there in the avarana by name Sarva Rogahara Chakra, it removes all the roga. So roga here is vikalpa. All the vikalpas are removed by the khechari. Then the next mudra, Sarva Bija Mudra. Ashtami Bija Mudra. Jagataha Shadvikareshu Prathamikaha Yaha Bhava Vikaraha Sukshma Rupena Satta Tat Abhimanini Shakti. Sarva Bija Mudra is that Shakti which denotes the Sat aspect of the Sṛṣṭi or of the Jagat. See, when we speak about Sṛṣṭi of the Jagat is supposed to have 6 kinds of existence or 6 modifications. It is called as Chadvida Bhava Vikara. That is Jayate, Asti, Vardhate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Nashyate. Jayate, born, Asti, there, Vardhate, grows, Viparinamate, changes, Apakshiyate. Okay, Apakshayanam means degenerating or starts to fall apart, Nashyati, and it gets destroyed. So these are the 6. So if you take any creative process of anything which is created, it will have to undergo all these 6 stages. In that, the second stage, namely Asti, called as Satta. Okay, being, just being. So that Satta Shakti Pradhan. So that state of being is what is called as Sarva Bija. So in the Bija, if you take even the physical Bija, okay, a seed. The seed is where in the Sukshma Rupa, the entire Jagat is present. That's all. Asti, right? When we take any seed, let's say a Vatavriksha, the famous example of the Chandogya Upanishad. The entire Vatavriksha is there in the Vatabija. But when we take the Bija as it is, the Bija stands for the entire causal matrix to be present. That's all. There is no other activity. So it is there in a potent form. So that presence, that Satta, that is represented by this Bija Mudra. Okay. Remember that we are in the 8th avarana. Okay. So that potency to create is what is being referred to in the Ashtama Varana. Okay. So that Satta Shakti Pradhana. So Shiva Shakti Samashlesha Spurat Vyomantare Punaha Prakashayanti Vishwam Sa Sukshma Rupa Sthitam Sada Bija Rupa Mahamudra. This Bija Rupa Mahamudra is Shiva Shakti Samashlesha Spurat Vyomantare. In the Vyoma, in the Dakrakasha, okay, where the Shiva Shakti are in the state of Samarasya. Prakashayanti Vishwam. It just ensures or makes sure that it is there, it is present. So it is present means Prakashayanti. So Prakashanam means not to physically manifest it out. It means that being, okay, the state of being. So Prakashayanti Vishwam. Sukshma Rupa Sthitam Sada, in its potent form. So Bija Rupa Mahamudra. The last is Sarvayoni. Okay, Sarvayoni, because not only that it is Prathama Mudra, it is called. It is the most important of all the mudras, because it Sampurnasya Prakashasya Labha Bhumihi Iyam Punaha Yoni Mudra Kalaru. It is of the nature of Kala. This Kala is not to be confused with the the Shatkanchukas Kala. Here, Kala refers to the Prakasha and the Vimarsha Bindu or Kama Bindu or Kama Kala. Okay, so this Kama Kala is what is referred to as Kala Rupa Iyam. So, Sarvayoni Mudra is the physical representation of the Kama Kala. So, more about Kama Kala later on, if we have opportunity, we will see in the other texts. So, Sarvayoni is the most important of all the 9 mudras because it represents the Prakashanam, Vimarshanam, and the aspect of the Sṛṣṭi coming out of the Prakasha, Vimarsha in its Samarasya form and transcending the creation aspect. All the 4 has to be there. That is the Kama Kala.